As the criminal trial against former Trump campaign chair Paul Manafort continues, President Trump is calling on Attorney General Jeff Sessions to end special counsel Bob Mueller's investigation. Meanwhile, the feud between President Trump and CNN's chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta spread among the president's supporters. Acosta was heckled last night during a rally in Tampa, Florida. Some say the president has a right to defend himself. Others say this is setting a dangerous precedent for attacking the press. Let's talk about it with Ned Ryun, CEO of American Majority, and conservative commentator Steve Malzberg. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Hello
Good
there,
to be with
sir.
you.
Steve and Ned, in that alphabetical order, fundamental to understanding the Trump phenomenon is that his detractors take him literally but not seriously, and his supporters take him seriously but not literally. But that was a pretty rowdy crowd there last night. Were they just blowing off steam, or do you worry that as he continues to scorn the news media as enemy of the people, that some of his supporters will take him literally? Ned?
Well, he's never called for anybody to do anything to the media. So I know the media has already framed it that if something happens to a reporter, it's Donald Trump's fault. Just like if something happens to Donald Trump, God forbid, that's Donald Trump's fault. Look, this is insane. I'm glad Jim Acosta is concerned for the well-being of his fellow media members and himself. And violence against anybody is reprehensible and should not be tolerated. Having said that, was Jim Acosta concerned? Is he concerned when Maxine Waters says follow people into restaurants and bookstores and shopping malls and go to their homes? Don't give them a day of peace. And when Sarah Huckabee Sanders is thrown out of a restaurant and Steve Bannon is followed into a bookstore and people with Trump caps are beaten and T-shirts are beaten, where's Jim Acosta on that? And his worrisome, remarks about those people. I haven't heard it once.
Ned, that's, of course, alphabetical order by surname. What's your take on this?
I think what we saw last night, at a certain point, the condescension and disdain aimed at Trump supporters by many in the mainstream media and the obvious bias that CNN has showed towards Trump kind of came to the surface. I thought it was a little over the top, the heckling. At the same time, I thought in many ways it was understandable. At some point, we're going to have to figure out as Americans how we can have a rational debate moving forward. But I got to tell you, at some point, the Trump supporters, I think they have a lot of legitimate case. When the traditional media has been 90% negative towards Trump, they're not even trying to be objective. And many of us who are Trump supporters feel a lot of these guys are just Democrat operatives masquerading as journalists. They have to figure out how to be more objective. They have to figure out how to report the news in as fashion as possible so they come off as objective, because right now it looks like they're being extremely antagonistic towards Trump and they're being extremely antagonistic towards his supporters. To further that point, when Politico's Mark Caputo tweets last night that there were probably just barely enough teeth in that whole crowd to make a mouthful, the disdain is just dripping from the mainstream media, and then they're offended that somehow the Trump supporters take offense to that. And so I think in many ways this is completely understandable.
Steve, admittedly a dated reference, but is Jim Acosta the new Sam Donaldson? And if he is, was the affable Gipper ever as provocative as President Trump is about the media?
Well, Ronald Reagan had his own way, and it certainly wasn't Trump-like. I mean, he did jab at them and make statements, and the debate, the famous line, I paid for this microphone and all that. And and of course, Nixon had his own way of going against the media as well. Trump is unique. Trump will say what he feels, and what he feels about the media, I say a majority of Americans feel. Look, this is a media that is hysterical. Pat Buchanan says he's never seen anything like it, and he's been through it with Nixon and with Reagan, and now we're witnessing what's going on with Trump. The media does not tell the truth. And by the way, if Jim Acosta is so concerned he couldn't do a stand-up, those people have just as much a right to chant while he's doing a stand-up, as Acosta has to be a member of the media and do his stand-up. As Sarah Huckabee Sanders said today, those two go hand in hand.
Okay, to that point, Ned, TV reporters on the Trump beat, many of whom he calls out by name, say they have felt intimidated by the president's rhetoric. But one man could nip this in the bud, the way John McCain so conspicuously took the high road when someone called Obama a Muslim with a phony birth certificate. Mueller now has Manafort on trial, and who knows what's in his briefcase. Is it politically useful for Trump not to take the high road?
In pushing back against the Mueller investigation, pushing back against the mainstream media?
Press.
Well, you know, I think it is. I think it is, and because you know why, Holland? If you look at the Gallup poll from 1976, 72% of the American people found the mainstream media trustworthy or very trustworthy. In 2016, it had dropped to 32%. So the mainstream media has really done this to themselves. They have undermined their own credibility that now only 32% of the American people find them credible. And then even, let's not forget that Axios poll from a couple weeks ago in which a significant percentage of the American people think that the media is now intentionally pushing fake news at any given time. And so I think he is right to highlight the evident bias and also to call them to account and say, you need to get your facts straight, especially when you're reporting about me. So I think he is correct because, first of all, it plays well with his base. And second of all, he's calling a spade. And the polls show that.
Right. Ned Ryun, Steve Malzberg, thank you for your perspective on this tonight.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.